Hello everyone, welcome back to this week's podcast episode. I just want to cry right now because I reached a higher goal of listeners and followers on my Instagram and Spotify and Apple Podcasts these past weeks, despite me slacking off to get an episode out every week. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. It blows my mind that people will sit and listen to anything I have to say. Again, mostly my friends, so thank you for listening and supporting. It boosts my little ego. It's a small milestone, but it just makes me so happy to see it. Anyways, I hope everyone's weekend was good. I unfortunately felt under the weather all weekend and mainly stayed in and watched TV and movies and only really left to pick up Starbucks, which, by the way, the white peppermint mocha is so good. I always forget how delicious that one is until I get it this time of the year. It puts me in the holiday spirit. And it just I don't know, the taste of peppermint's so good. I know people think it tastes like toothpaste, but nonetheless, you should go get it. So, moving on to my observation of the week. So, funnily enough, I somehow ditched my observations of the week in the past few episodes and turned them into my highlights, which I just noticed, so sorry for that if you like the observations better. But I do have an observation this week. I'll probably just cycle through whichever one I feel like that week. But my one this week is it just me, or have companies and brands just been doing so poorly at having actual decent sales? Oh my gosh, sorry, I still have morning breath. It's quite early. But I swear the sales are actually so bad these past few years, or is the economy just really that down right now? I swear they have more sales, they're more frequent, but they're never worth it. It's always 15% off, or you're buying 3 of something full price and getting one thing for 25% off. I mean, to be fair, it's probably a psychological marketing technique or something to get people to come in more when they notice sales, but wow, I just miss those big blowout days where it was worth it to get up on Boxing Day morning or go Black Friday shopping, which is actually this week. But I feel like everything is just a scam now and nothing is a good deal anymore. I swear it's always $2 off on the good brands at least. Good for companies since they can do this, I guess. But I swear social media can make anything sell out even if it is at full price. Lululemon, for example, I swear nothing is ever in stock because people are just obsessed over it right now, especially those belt bags or whatever. But anyway, let me know if this is just a recent thing in the last few years, or if sales were never that magical and I'm just an adult realizing capitalism has just always been this way. Oh, I feel like it's never been anything like Black Friday in Canada, circa 2012 in the US. I feel like that was when it was crazy and Black Friday didn't exist in Canada yet, but I've never seen anything like that, which is maybe a good thing because I know those things can get dangerous. But anyways, that is just my little rant / observation, because I've been looking at online stores and I'm like, what the hell? Nothing is on sale. And this week is supposed to be Black Friday week because usually they extend it. Anyways, that's it for that one. Let's get into the meat and bones of this episode. So, as you can tell from the title, today is a very sensitive topic, and I don't know if this is warranted, but I will put in a trigger warning for this episode. I will be touching on eating disorders, some self-harm, and obviously issues with body dysmorphia and body image, and anything else related under the umbrella of that. This is also something I still struggle with to the current day, so please be nice. But I decided I would like to bring some awareness to the topic and maybe help people feel not so alone if they're in the same boat or somewhere at the same point of my journey, just struggling with this. So if this isn't for you, that's totally fine. You can skip the episode and I'll be back with a more lighthearted one next week. But let's get into it. Wish me luck. So basically, I'll start off where it began. It was very early on in life, and the concept of just being really hyper aware of what I looked like started so early, and I would say it stemmed from the environment I grew up in. I was so used to everyone in my family commenting on my body. I was a pretty chubby baby and toddler, and from my earliest memory, I swear, it was about how I weighed heavier than a sack of rice or something like that, because someone in my family lifted me without permission. So first of all, I didn't even want that, but I don't know if you grew up in an Asian household, but our sacks of rice are ginormous. People keep it in their closets or basements, so you can just imagine how heavy. It always stuck with me, and it always hurt me hearing little jabs like that, and it kept building up as I grew older. So people would always be like, you got fat, you look like you gained weight, do you eat too much? And the nicknames all my relatives could think of in Tagalog were taba, and that translates to fat, obviously, so not a great nickname to have. And then you can also get nicknamed payat, which is the opposite. It means you're skinny. So it was always those two different nicknames that were so prominent in the Filipino culture, which are obviously both inappropriate. So at the end of the day, I was just so used to my body being a fucking political statement every time I walked into a room of Filipinos. So you can just imagine how traumatizing that is as a growing child. So next time, if you are Filipino and this happens to you, stand up for yourself, educate your titas, and tell them that you think their wrinkles are settling in. Just kidding, you don't have to resort to an insult back, but you can be the bigger person, but if you choose not to, just maybe throw in that comment. But for real, I'm kidding, don't take that advice. Anyways, so relatives who hadn't seen me in a long time just commenting on my body the moment they saw me rather than asking me how I was particularly insulting, because clearly they didn't actually care about what was going on in my life. And this was so normalized my entire childhood. If I had anything to say about it, I was being, one, too sensitive, or two, not respecting my elders, which is so fucked up. If I retaliated, it would be such a bad wave with my mom, because obviously she didn't want me to be considered rude by the other adults, because again, I was taught to respect my elders, but if they don't know how to respect other people, why should we respect them? Am I right? Let me paint this picture as well. So I grew up with friends who were predominantly skinny, and my mom, who is also a petite build. So the people I surrounded myself around and those who I looked up to in real life or in the media were always a small build, and my family and Filipino friends did not receive the same comments I did, so I definitely felt different. I also grew up doing gymnastics, dance, and swimming, which obviously showcases a lot of your body, and you couldn't help but compare yourself to the other girls that look how you wanted to look, and there was no one to tell you that everybody was unique and special, yada yada yada, like they do today, which I envy. Keep in mind too, as I started these activities, I did lose some of the baby weight that I had as a toddler, but I was definitely not built the skinniest. I was short, yes, but I had a bum. I always had my back hunched over to look smaller and shorter, and I did have rather muscular thighs. No one ever told me it was okay to eat food to fuel your athletic and growing body, and diet culture was always something I had my ears open to because it was just everywhere. You can put two and two together, and if you've ever heard anything about the dance or gymnastics world even, it screams body dysmorphia and eating disorders galore. I'm very envious of the generation growing up today. There's so much more support and information that you can receive online, in the media, about body positivity. They're starting to show more diversity in models, which is absolutely amazing. These are the good things about social media, and it makes me proud that there is more body positivity going forward in the next generation. It's so crucial, but nonetheless, I'm going to continue on how things kind of escalated from there. So then, skipping to later on in my life, so this would be late junior high school, where I became really aware and persistent in what I was doing to myself, and I knew that it was bad, but I still did it anyways, and my eating habits changed. So my friends and I loved to go through the McDonald's drive-thru, as a growing teen does. We loved to go to dinner after school or something, get pizza, eat 7-Eleven candy, but what they didn't know is that I was wasting my time and money, because later that day or night, it all came back up the way it came down. I turned the shower on, my iPod my iPod Nano was on blast, and I started to secretly do that in the bathroom. Every time I felt the tears come down my face, because I don't know about you, but every time I vomit, even to this day from even drinking, I would snot everywhere. I would have so many tears, and every time those tears came down my face, I vowed that it would be the last time, but it simply wasn't. I was just purely lying to myself. And the thing is, I did eventually start to change my habits, but unfortunately, it wasn't for the better. I realized that simply doing that wasn't changing my body. It wasn't making me look any smaller. I just looked so dull, and my weight was still on. So I was like, okay, what the fuck? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, it was so frustrating because I knew that it worked for other people. So I did try to keep the puking to a rare occasion because, quite frankly, it hurt. It does not feel good to puke. It crusts around your lips. Even if you clean yourself up, brush your teeth, it stays in your mouth, and it's just such a gross feeling overall. But unfortunately, this turned into binging. So I would eat a relatively healthy meal at school, and then for dinner with my mom, everything that was prepared for me was relatively healthy, with the odd processed food here or there. Then at night, I'd go into the pantry and eat whatever I could find in secret, and then feel just absolutely awful about it. And I never understood why I felt such shame to go into the pantry if I was still hungry. But for most of the time, I genuinely just wanted to do it. I wasn't necessarily not fed enough or anything like that. I just felt like I had to. And once I could drive to or order food, it was the same cycle. I'd get more food than I even wanted to eat. I ate it in secret. I hid the bags. I buried it under other trash, and I felt so guilty. I ate it so fast, and then again, my body would just feel like shit. And the problem was, I was denying all the facts I saw about this being unhealthy. I knew it was, and I knew this wasn't a normal way or normal habit to eat like this, but I just decided to ignore it because, people live by it. Ignorance is bliss, and I turned to food for comfort. But it was such a double-edged sword for me because it resulted in making me feel so uncomfortable. It also didn't help that dancers that I grew up around, and even most of my friends in my life, were also conscious about how they looked. And the problem is I never thought any of them ever needed to lose weight or changed how they looked. I thought all my friends were beautiful. It made me so angry, and it made me resent them to an extent as well, just because if they needed to change how they looked and they were my goal, then wow, I had such a long way to go. And a lot of this stems where maybe I did look exactly the same or built the same way as one of my friends, but I did not see my body that way. And obviously I know that was body dysmorphia, but just even looking in the mirror, I was like, yeah, no, this is worse about me, when at the end of the day, we probably looked the same and I was healthy. So this is why I can't emphasize it enough. It is okay to get help from someone or confide in someone trustworthy. It's never worth ruining other parts of your life and any relationships that you had, because I don't know, it's just so sad that people go through this and just I lost the uniqueness to me. I'm like, why do I want to look like this so bad when I'm just perfectly fine the way I am? And it's obviously something I still have to tell myself every day. This is a self-affirmation you should put in your daily routine, because I think it's so important to love your body. But this is just how I did feel at the moment. So obviously this was earlier on in life, and mind you, it continued throughout university and to this day. COVID did not help, because right now I am literally the heaviest I've ever been in my life. And while the whole world to this day, which I'm grateful for, is more accepting, I'm still working on it and working on being okay with myself. When I see all these body positive campaigns or all the models, it makes me happy. I think they're all beautiful, but it's just something about self-hatred that just weighs on me so much, and I am more aware and able to maturely think about taking care of my body properly today. I definitely have improved my eating habits, and listen, like, it's so hard. Like, it's so hard to build a good relationship with food after all of that. And I love food. I love trying new food. I would consider myself a foodie, but even that label was really hard to put on myself. And I don't know about you, but again, like I said before, I am into astrology. I believe in the stereotypes and the traits that people exude about each zodiac. And as a Taurus, people know that we love indulging in food. We're usually foodies. And I was like, of course, I'm the fucking fat astrological sign. Of course I am. And it would just make me feel even worse. I'm like, oh, like, I was just born to basically be this kind of person. And I just never knew that it could be something I could, I don't know, just have such a better relationship with now. Like, it's definitely improved, but I was like, of course, all the signs point to me for basically being overweight. So a couple of tips I have. Oh my gosh, my voice is getting just like progressively worse this episode, but oh my gosh. One of the tips that I have for people specifically struggling with food addiction or having trouble with binging is, one, to always eat something that you want. And this is something that I learned in therapy. So this helps you avoid the feeling of being unsatisfied and going for more food because you just simply did not like what you just ate. So have your favorite treats on hand. Even though it might seem counterproductive in a way, it does prevent you from overeating something quote unquote healthier to try and fill that craving or hunger that you might think it is. And I always sit after the meal or after the snack and ask myself, am I still hungry? And then I sit and wait and listen to my body and go from there. The second thing I like to do if I do have a binging episode is always to shower in warm water, progressively hot, and then do cold water at the end. The cold water is something I recently just decided to incorporate, but showering has always made me feel better and gives me like a sense of refreshment. Like, not in that way, I don't know if this makes sense, but I just feel like I'm able to restart my day. And my therapist said to imagine the guilt just and shame washing off your body. It's not on you anymore, and to take a moment and just ground yourself in the shower, a moment with your thoughts, and maybe a second of meditation. I love to have bath products, like stuff that smells good, to stimulate those senses and release some endorphins that way. And then the third way I would say is to never skip meals or to always eat the next day following a binge. So never skip meals to punish yourself or to not be bloated or something by the end of the day or something like that, or to be able to put on the outfit that you want. It's just very, again, counterproductive, and just skipping those meals is not helping you at all. Your body's clinging on to whatever nutrients it can. And again, I'm not a doctor or a therapist, but these are just ways that have helped me with my binge eating. So those are 3 of the main tips that I would say for balancing food addiction that you might have. And it just frustrates me so much when people don't recognize it as something legitimate, because people are just like, oh, just portion control, eat in moderation, eat less. Like, yeah, I wish it was that simple. But again, it's something that's difficult to control. It's similar to drugs and alcohol. Like, it's just something that you aren't able to tell your body or yourself to not do. It's just it's all up in there. But I hope maybe those tips can help somebody. And basically the point of this episode is I just want to bring the awareness and how this really affects people physically, obviously, and also mentally. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times that I had felt suicidal thoughts and self-harm thoughts, just anything like that throughout this experience. And even to admit that today, because of the extreme weight gain, not extreme, see, like, again, I'm trying to be better with the way I word things about myself and how I talk about myself, because yes, I do love myself, but because of the weight gain, it was really hard for me to address that this was me, this is what my body looked like, and it was going to take a lot of work to get back what I had, because COVID was obviously not a good time for people mentally, and a lot of events transpired that affected people's lives, and same with mine. And I just wanted to bring about like how this can really affect someone to their day-to-day, like even at work, like sitting down all day and just hearing all the things about how office jobs are so unhealthy for you. And I was starting to see that in my body. I was barely getting in like 1,000 steps a day, which is, I know, horrible, but that's the reality of what it was. Like, walking around my house or my now apartment was not going to help any of that. But I just want to bring it out and say that it isn't worth it to go through alone. Talking to someone has greatly helped, even if it's online or something like that. Any way you can access any type of support, please do it. I recommend it. It's really helped me come up with different strategies and ways on how you can help yourself and how you can love yourself as well. So basically, I want to share a couple of the ways I taught myself and that I got from my therapist to love myself a little more and appreciate that the body I was given. So given that last voice clip, clearly my first set of advice is definitely something that I try to practice and preach, because I'm still working on it. Not perfect over here, but really try to clean up how you speak to yourself. And I know it's hard because everyone is their own critic, like their biggest critic, and no matter how often someone else tells you how perfect or whatever, how beautiful your body is, you literally won't believe them until you believe it yourself. So the more you accept yourself and strive to be healthier, if that's what you're looking for, and if it's actually putting you in a not so healthy place, work towards that. Appreciate the body that you're in. And I know people tell you about this all the time. Complaining about your body won't make you healthier or skinnier or happier or help you love your body. So dissing your body actually makes it harder to take care of yourself. It makes it difficult to go through this process properly. When the negative thought just pops up into your head, give yourself the reminder and just tell yourself like you're thankful for your body, that you don't have any like severe illness, or it helped you get up and walk today. It helped you during your workout at the gym today, anything like that. So don't give those thoughts any power by saying them out loud. And I know this is hard because I still do this, but you don't ever want to talk about your body to someone else in that way, because I feel like that makes it worse. Even though I am guilty of this, try not to do that, because it really, I don't know, it just further ruins like any progress you might be having with yourself. And I know it's hard to avoid, because there are just times where you just want to rant to your girlfriends, and it is just something that girls talk about naturally, but definitely try to kind of cut that out of your conversations. Oh my gosh, sorry, my voice is like tripping over because I've tried to like not tear up this episode, because obviously this is a little bit difficult for me to record because it is a very sensitive topic to me. But anyways, don't mind my voice, it's a little raspy. Maybe it's like jazz, blues, sexy, I don't know. But the second one is kind of a no-brainer almost, but I would stop using that explore feature on Instagram and unfollow anyone that makes you just jealous because, again, guys, social media is not real half the time. Those models you see definitely use FaceApp, definitely use, what's the other one called? I can't even think about it, but they definitely use Photoshop and Facetune. Yes, Facetune. And it just makes people who are quote unquote normal feel awful about themselves because maybe they don't know how to use Photoshop. But I did stop using the Explore tab on Instagram. So that's the one where it just shows like random accounts, and that's where you see like all the bikini models, all the people with their weight loss supplements, everything that could possibly be toxic is on the Explore feature. So you can just turn that off, look at what your friends are doing, and stop comparing yourself because it's not going to make a difference. Like, it's not going to do any good for you. So again, that one is definitely that one's definitely more self-explanatory, but doing that helps, like a little cleanse on who you follow. You never know, sometimes there are creators or influencers out there putting out a negative message on how to look at your body or how to eat. Those what I eat in a day is like most of the times it's about calorie restriction or something that someone who's going through something like binging or any other kind of eating disorder just doesn't need to hear at the moment. Someone who's trying to rebuild a relationship with food definitely does not need to hear that. So just go live your life. Life is what's currently happening. Don't miss it. Don't waste your time looking at someone else's life when you have your own to live. And that's just a thing I've tried to tell myself. And again, I'm not perfect. I don't absolutely religiously live by this every day. I slip up, I make mistakes, I creep models, and that's okay. But definitely unfollow stuff like that, especially if you have someone who is fitspo or thinspo. I don't know if you've ever seen that hashtag, but that is just not okay. You always have this message in your head when you see those things, and you're like, if I just did this, I'd look like that. And that's obviously not the case for most people. And you know what? People try the strategy for years, and you know what? It never worked. Forcing yourself to just hate the body won't help you lose any weight or gain whatever goal you want to gain. So seeing these things can obviously make someone feel ashamed and guilty, which makes you even more less motivated. So the more you kick that out of your brain, the more that you'll want to motivate yourself and do it for you. So you can just stop looking those pictures up. I know they're on Pinterest too, so take that board down. So that is my second tip. Okay, the third tip is my favorite one, but seriously, if you want to exercise, pick something really fun. Like, just have the goal of enjoying every workout, because I know for a lot of people, the gym is fun, but the other half of people think the gym is absolutely boring. And please don't tell me, oh, you just don't know what to do at the gym if you're bored at the gym. Sometimes it really just is boring doing those repetitive movements. I'm sorry. It is effective, it works, and people love it, but you know, it's not for everybody, and it's not due to the fact that they are uneducated with the exercises, because trust me, I've seen them. They are more boring than some of the other ways you can get in your exercise. So the easiest thing obviously is to go for a walk if it's nice. It's just, you get to enjoy nature, you get to look around, breathe in the fresh air. That's like the easiest way that you can do it, because again, if exercise feels like you're punishing yourself, then it's definitely like you're definitely doing something wrong. And when you enjoy it, you do it more often. And once you get over that hump of being like, oh, I don't know if I should go, then it makes it easier to go. And obviously, I know you've definitely heard this before in some capacity or in some other format, but this is definitely something that helps. Like, for example, I would take a dance class because that's something I love, and it's obviously good exercise. And I've also liked spin, like that's very fun for me. I want to try and get into Pilates or something like that. And there's also yoga. You can go to boxing classes. You can try CrossFit. There's, what else is there? Literally, you could go to the trampoline park with your friends and bounce around, and trust me, you'll be sweaty. Like, that is great cardio. You can ride your bike. You can do at home workouts as well, like little hit workouts. Those are all fun. Literally Just Dance on Wii or the PlayStation, or I think it's Xbox. I don't know anything about games, guys, but stuff like that is great. Or even just like going out and doing activities with your friends, like hiking, or if you guys go ice skating, you can turn everything into something fun. So if you just gather around some friends and think of something to do other than like sitting down, even walking around the mall is cardio. That's enough exercise. Walking that much around a mall, like making those laps, it's great. And at the end, you can reward yourself with a smoothie or a little treat or something like that. So it's really easy to put in the exercise if you make it something enjoyable. So that's definitely something I recommend doing. And once you start doing that, your body's gonna crave it. And again, if the gym's not for you, there's so many ways out there to get exercise in. You could even get into a sport. So I love that. And I know I've talked about exercise in did I talk about that in my last episode? I feel like I did, but that is my third tip. So yeah, that will bring me to the end of the episode here. I hoped there was something in here that helps someone who can maybe relate to me, or just make someone feel not so alone in whatever they might be experiencing. And if this is something that you've been through, I'm with you. If you want to talk, let me know. I'm always here and open to listen to anybody and anybody's story. My doors are open, and I hope whatever you're going through, just remind yourself that you are important and special and valued. And I hope you bring that with you for the rest of the week, rest of your life, whatever you like. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode somehow and liked kind of a more structured and more important topic kind of episode. And if you didn't, that's okay. I'm planning to come in next week with something a little more lighthearted for people who just want a pick-me-up during the week. So again, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. If you're from America, happy Thanksgiving this week. Hope you find some good Black Friday sales, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.